I was dual screening Oregon, Illinois, and Oregon State Cal on Saturday.
Yeah. 12:30, 1 o'clock. They were almost identical kick times.
And I ended up looking like the cross-eyed kid from Dennis the Menace because I didn't know where to look. Both games were just truly awful in different ways.
Yeah, not very interesting games. Unless you were a Duck fan, not an interesting game.
Look, I didn't have great expectation they would win at Cal. I know some Beef fans talked themselves into it. I think Cal is a much better team than their record shows, and part of that is, it's on coaching and execution.
Yeah.
Woof, 44-7, and that's a late 7 you got.
Very late
that
7.
was,
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. Swag asked something in a group chat, and I literally said, I don't know what to say anymore. Like, you put a poll question up, is this the lowest it's ever been? Yes, no, or just want to see the results? And certainly the response would tell you, look, this record, Pettibone, Gary Anderson, I think I know what you meant by that question.
I'm not asking if this is the worst Oregon State team of all time.
Yeah,
they've had some bad teams.
That's how people are reading it. And so the responses we're getting are largely like, here's a screenshot of 10 years and how bad we were. Here's
1-11 Gary Anderson.
Yeah. And so like.
Oh, no, there was the wishbone era back in the 80s. No, it's not.
Yeah,
close.
I'm not asking if this was the lowest, if this is the worst team ever. I'm asking if this is the lowest you've ever felt as a fan. And a lot of people are saying no to that, which is fine. I mean, I'm not telling you how to feel.
Because they're going by record and coaches, and I understand that. But I think what you're asking is
everything.
Yeah.
Gary Anderson was 1-11. You were in a power conference. So you didn't have a lot of hope. You didn't know how long it was going to take you to dig out of that hole. Took you a couple of years. You eventually got out of there, and Jonathan Smith did carry you out of that. But that was, I think, it was the question of they're playing this way, and the future feels very bleak. Just is this the overall lowest you've ever felt about the program?
I don't think we can make a conclusion on coaching in any way, but I am.
No.
I mean, I can't help but wonder. 44-7.
That was embarrassing.
Loss is a loss, but like I didn't see that. That was about as embarrassed as I've ever been watching a game.
There was never a moment in that game where you thought, never.
Not a single one.
They scored right out of the gate, and if Oregon State goes 3 and out, and you're all right. This game, like, it just immediately felt like this game's over.
I want to say in their first 5 drives, they had 19 yards.
That sounds about right. They didn't gain hardly anything, and Cal was scoring basically every time they touched. It went 9 plays, 75-yard touchdown, 3 and out, -5 yards. 2 play, 42-yard touchdown, 5 plays, 18 yards punt. Then you did force a 3 and out. So, hey, here's your momentum. You finally got to stop. Oregon State went 3 and out, gained 4 yards. Cal went 71 yards and kicked a field goal. You went 3 and out. Essentially, you threw a pick on the third play of the drive. Three plays, 5 yards. They then kicked a field goal again. You went 3 and out again. Then you finally had the drive down 28-0, in which you drove and then missed a field. Like, you had a chance to score. That was the first drive of the game.
Blocked, by the way, or did Hayes just straight miss it that badly?
I didn't get a good look at that one. I don't remember if that one,
because it looked like it got tipped.
Got tipped, yeah.
It looked.
Hopefully, he didn't kick it into his offensive lineman again, because that happened earlier this year. I think you have to be careful to say things about the coaching staff, because my takeaway from this weekend, and this is coming from somebody who took Oregon State. I went 0-4 in our big PP picks this week.
Did you really?
I did. I took them to cover the spread. I just thought you get a fight. Hey, season's on the line. We had a bad loss last weekend. Let's bounce back. I thought there was going to be a little bit more there. I think we have to look back to the things that we were saying about this team from the end of last season throughout the course of the summer and realize that maybe we should have seen this coming. Like, they lost the majority of their coaching staff. They lost the guy who was supposed to be their starting quarterback. They lost the best player on their team and their running back at the very last second, who went through spring ball and everything. Lost him at the last second. How many returning starters did you have from last year's team? I remember doing an interview with Bill Connolly.
Lost their best defensive players.
Lost all their best defensive players. Like, we did an interview with Connolly where he came out with a returning production article, and I remember we had him on maybe on a YouTube Extra in June or July, getting all excited for the football season. And I remember it standing out how little returning production that they had from last year's team. And so I think the hope was, hey, you're playing an easier schedule because the Mountain West, you should be able to handle that. But then you look at UNLV all of a sudden being good. Like, it hasn't been the cakewalk maybe that some thought, and you had to play Oregon this year. And there was a part of me that's like, we should have seen this coming. That I don't know how many coaches could succeed in that spot. Their offense has completely grounded to a halt. They can't move the football. They were 1 of 11 on third down. They can't run it, and when you can't run it, you don't have a quarterback that can throw it. And there's an aspect of like, what do you want? How are they supposed to win football games? And so my whole mindset the rest of the year will be, how do we get ready to be more competitive next year, and how do we put ourselves in a position to be better in 2026?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that's what some Beaver fans will do is point to 26 and like, oh, we'll just get through this and then get to 26. Okay, but if your talent drops,
yeah, how are you going to be in the transfer
You're not going to
portal?
suddenly recruit, in the top whatever. You're recruiting. I've talked to Nimick about it. The recruiting is arguably worse.
Yeah, it is.
And so, like, that was always my fear with this thing of just like, well, you get through it and then get a power conference in 2 years. Yeah, well, in that 2-year window, I've seen Oregon State in the past. They can certainly get worse.
They can.
Now, again, I'm not saying that Bray's not the guy. I just don't have a whole lot to point to that makes me feel like he is the guy.
No, you have nothing yet.
And so they're just sitting in such a weird spot. Now they can still go at the minimum 6-6.
Yeah, I think they should be able to beat Air Force. This
Air
weekend
Force
will
should
be
a win, but San Jose State is kind of your toss-up.
Yeah.
You don't beat
or
San
not this
Jose
weekend.
State.
Sorry, they got a bye week, and then when they play San Jose State.
Yeah, so you come back off the bye with San Jose State, and then you're going to Air Force. Air Force is bad. You beat San Jose State, you're a bowl team. But, like, I think 6-6 is your record because I don't think you're beating Wazoo, and I certainly don't think you're beating Boise State.
Oh, the Wazoo was pretty fortunate to survive this weekend. I ended up watching that game Saturday night, and they did not play well, and they were down 2 scores in the fourth quarter.
Yes, yeah, I agree with that. But also, this Oregon State team is playing pretty bad football right now.
They're not giving you any hope right now.
I think my ultimate point is 6-6 is maybe you're like, hey, we dug out of it, got to a bowl game. Okay.
Let's go hit the portal. How many guys are available that are looking for playing time and want to have a chance to play right away?
That's the other part of the portal is they're a Mountain West team.
They are?
So, like, that portal's not going to be jumping off the charts for the top in talent that's going to change everything.
UNLV's done it pretty good, so it has been done, but I see your larger point.
Yeah, their coach comes from the SEC.
Yeah.
And he it just means more.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of gets that. I kind of look at this as a lost year. And I believe Nick Daschel wrote in the Oregonian yesterday basically the same thing. And the unfortunate thing is the lost year this year is it's a little doom and gloomy for your future of where you sit right now. Losing to San Jose State and being 5-7 was the most nightmare scenario you could have possibly had.
It's a big one on the 9th.
And so it's going to be massive for them coming out of that bye to get that win. I also worry about apathy. I mean, I have a lot of Beaver fans that are not on Twitter, basically like, this sucks.
Yeah,
this is not fun. I don't enjoy this. These teams are not fun to get excited to watch. And that happens against Cal, and it's just more apathy after more apathy. Twitter is not representative of people, so I'll be curious to see what San Jose State's attendance is like and just kind of where the overall vibe of the program is, because it's not good right now.
It'll be a chicken and the egg thing where you want the fans to come back in full throat and be supportive, but they're also not going to do it until you give them something to do it for. And
I would be making your tickets as cheap as possible. Get
$1 to get in, 50-cent tickets. Yeah, well, I'm not kidding, dude. To get as many butts in the seats as you possibly can, because I'm with you. At least that game against San Jose State got announced as a 12:30 game, so Washington State gets the night treatment at 7:30. So it's a great kick time right in the middle of the day. Hopefully the weather's nice, but I can't imagine that's going to be a massive crowd. And there is a lot of apathy right there, right now inside that program. It's going to take wins to get you out of it, but I don't know how you get there in the short term.